welcome to Alvinley Railways. You may notice my voice is a bit deeper than normal, which is good. It might be sexy and all that, but it's because I've got COVID. So yeah, the last few days have been a bit tricky, but I've been busy making a new layout. I'd already started it, but I've done a lot of work on it over the last few days. And this is the first time I've done a video about making a layout. So obviously I did a video outside of the Ivy Railway. You get to see, you know, how that came about. So I thought it'd be nice to do one on a layout. I didn't want to do any more layouts at one point. I thought, well, I've got enough. I've done enough. This is probably about the 14th or 15th layout I've built. But I've got back into Z-Gauge via my friend Mike. So I bought a set off him, and I was quite impressed with how it ran. Although you have to keep the track clean, it wasn't like crazy. You weren't like doing it all the time. And the slow speed was pretty impressive. So yeah, so I'm going to show you in a minute what I've been up to, and I'll get a commentary going along the way to explain things as well. And right now I'll get back to listening to some King Crimson. Obviously can't listen to that while I'm talking to you, or I'll get copyright now. Anyway, hope you enjoy. That railway, as nice as it was, or is, still nice. It's I never got it to run properly, and had a lot of problems with it. So I built that little tiny thing, which I did a video about, which is much easier to sort of maintain. And so whilst I'm not going to get rid of Herbst Fellbarn, I wanted a layout that I could use without having to spend ages getting it all cleaned up. So this is why the new ones come about. And this is how it started. This is after just putting a few bits together, knowing that I was going to have a water feature in it. Yeah, the wood was from a piece of furniture which I bought from a charity shop for £2. So yeah, got it home, took it apart, and used the bits that I needed for this railway. I had a bit of an idea of how I wanted it to look and how many points and things like that I wanted. It's changed along the way, as they always seem to do, but yeah, it's getting there now. You can see a Z Shorty, which is from Roku Han. This loco here is a Marklin. The tracks, underneath the track I've got some bush tape with some scatter over it. It seems quite a good way of doing things. I had to buy 2 sets so that I've got enough for the tape. It's like double-sided tape, which you have under the track. But I only used 1 sachet of the ballast for the whole thing. That's a Tamiya weathering kit there. Weathering Master, it's called. And it's just great for highlighting stuff. It's the first time I've really used a lot of filler on a railway to make contours and rocks, but found it worked really well. And some special scenic water stuff for the waterfalls, and for the river as well. And here you can see I'm just stacking up some bits of cardboard to make rock faces. That's then covered in some filler and painted, and then some scatter added. The bridges are all Pico N-gauge bridges. That's just some insulation stuff. Once the filler's dried, I just go over it with a thin wash. That's giving it a test run after doing all the ballasting. Keep trying to tidy up every evening, but you're still getting a bit of a mess when you're making a layout. That's after I'd put some water effect, which is like a flowing water effect. You basically put the gel on and then just mould it how you want. And there you can see that's a little bit of perspex there, just from like a container, and it's been stained underneath with a bit of paint. And this is how you're meant to apply the tape. Before I actually put it down onto the baseboard rather than onto the track. It's a bit of a fiddly job, but it just seems preferable to laying ballast the normal way in this small scale. So I've already put down the track over the bridge, and now I'm working on the next bit up to where the tunnel will start. It seems a bit crazy working with Z now because my eyesight isn't as good as it was. I've never really built a Z gauge model railway. I've just had some sets in the past. So then you join the track and then put it down onto the sticky pad. And then you can ballast over the top of that then. So I found that sufficient for the middle of the track, and then I just add a little bit more ballast at the sides. That's a little bit of Pico Flexi track. I used a combination of that and Marklin track. Here what I'm doing is painting the sides of the rail. I just used some fairly thick acrylic paint, and it's a really quick job. Just liberally put it on there, and then afterwards obviously wipe the top of the rail. and that leaves a nice effect in the ballast as well. So the ballast that's on there at the moment is just the stuff that's stuck to the sticky tape. Time for a tea break. Paint. So I've just filled this area in here for a little yard. There'll be a little unloading kind of bay, and there's a crossing over the main line there. I've just used filler to do that, obviously being careful to make space for flanges. I am trying to become the model railway Bob Ross. I'm aware that I said something like that before. I'm not losing my mind just yet. Stray bit of rock there, come off. Just putting varying strengths of paint. So I find that to make models more realistic, you need quite a lot of variety of colours and shades. Curve just there is tighter than I would have liked to have been on display really, but half of it will be cut off by the tunnel. That's using that Tamiya weathering kit. There's not much life left in that one. So where my hand is now is where that little bit of perspex is, and you can see details underneath in the water. Obviously there's a lot to do to finish it off, but you can see how it's coming together. The water going over the top as waterfalls down to the river, but there'll be waterfalls coming into this part as well. Once I start a layout, I kind of work on it every day then generally, once I've got to this sort of stage, and I'll normally just carry on until I finish, do it in a few hours every day. I said to Sarah earlier that I'd run out of filler, and I thought I'd have to put things on hold for a while. Not being able to go out at the moment, but she suggested that I ordered some on Amazon, and I did. Don't know why I didn't think of that. The river that you can see there, that's been coated in Vallejo water texture, which is like an acrylic gel which you can mould to the right sort of shapes of little bits of rippling water. Seems great stuff, and yeah, that was ordered online. And the waterfalls, I've used Woodland Scenic's water effect. I think they're similar products, to be honest. So this was after a bit of a clean up. Gave it a little test run, and then what I'm doing now is just adding the ballast at the side of the rails, just to increase the size of the ballasted area. The only thing with the tape is it's very narrow. It just goes beyond the edge of the sleepers, so you do need a little bit extra. So the whole of the back section will be a tunnel area and like hills and mountainous type things, woods, and obviously more water coming down. So once this is finished here, what I'm doing, that's all the railway stuff taken care of, apart from a couple of buildings in the yard. Yeah, so there's quite a lot to do, but the difficult sort of stuff's really almost done there. I've got to add some switches in because the marking points don't self-isolate, and it's a good job I realised that before I got to this stage. So I put some isolating fish plates in, and I've added some extra wires for that. They're all just joined together at the moment, but they will be going to switches. So just gently ease it away from the tops of the sleepers. So when you get sick of hearing my voice, you can just turn the volume down and drift off to sleep with this. I've got a GG1 locomotive for this railway as well, so I am going to put some level of electrification on the layout, just on the outside main line, not on the loops, and there won't be full catenary wires, there'll just be the uprights. The top line and the loops are for freight. Also, I'm making it as generic as possible as far as what country we're in, because although I'm mainly interested in the American stuff at the moment, I'm sure at some point I'd like some German stock as well, and maybe some Japanese. Mixing up the PVA mix. Horrendous, look at that sight. Shocking. Time for more tea. That might be the same one actually. So yeah, this is, you might recognise this as a COVID test, little mixer up bottle, whatever you want to call it. It's the usual mix, you know, sort of watered down PVA with a bit of washing up liquid. The plant sprayer was playing up, but I hadn't got quite enough water in it, so I ended up getting water everywhere. You can hear my heavy breathing there. It's COVID, that's what it is. An asthma, hay fever, allergies, sleep apnea. I just sprinkle a little bit of green over the top then, just to give it a little bit of variety, and there's always a little bit of vegetation, always a little bit of vegetation amongst railway lines. So yeah, spraying a bit more water all over the transformer. Oops. So the wagons that you can see behind the engine are Marklin, and the wagon that's just in the middle of that rail, that's Microtrains. I lost a wheel from one of them and I had no idea what happened to it. I did the vacuuming and searched through the vacuum bag and no, it wasn't there. Paranormal. Yeah, so then another little scattering of green. Just a gentle, not so gentle scattering. PVM water mix. I've also got some of the Woodland Scenics fine leaf foliage on the way, which is brilliant for making trees and bushes. Don't ask. I don't know. I blame it on COVID. Thing is, although I've done this many times, I always use slightly different methods, and there's a lot of trial and error with my modelling. So then that's some more of that Weathering Master, just on a very stiff brush. It was a bit too stiff actually, I think I'd left it in some paint or something. And then just a little bit more PVA and some more scatter. Some more of the Weathering Master. I'm not calling myself the Weathering Master, that's the name of the the Tamiya stuff. You can water it down a little bit, I find. What I'm doing there, just putting a bit more weathering powder on, and well, it's not really powder. It's like it's almost like a makeup compact. Sort of, it's like pastel almost. So I just dab that on, and then some more PVA, and then I'll just do a little gentle sprinkle. A brand new Weathering Master. I think it's set B, I'm trying to remember now, but it's Snow, Soot and Rust, I believe. I must have got through so many of those over the years. It seems a bit easier to pick up with a little brush than it used to be. I don't know, maybe I'm just imagining it. But it's great, absolutely brilliant stuff. So I'm just getting it sort of ingrained in there. That's just a dry brush I've got there just to help sort of scatter it around a bit, get it into all the grooves. I noticed I did a little token wipe at the back there, but there won't be anyone ever seeing the back, so I've sort of tended to do things with that in mind. You can just use a little bit of very fine sandpaper as well, sort of using the weathering powder. The Weathering Master, I should say. Gives a really nice smooth effect once it's spread around a bit. It can look like almost like spray weathering, but I think it's slightly more effective some of the time. You just got to not use too much. Just use it a bit sparingly. See that the water's still a little bit white. It takes a long time to go off completely, and this is after probably about 24 hours. So yeah, just adding some weathering to the banks of this little pool here. It kind of looks on the same level as the river, but it's not. It's level with the bridge. You can just see the waterfall behind the bridge. Thanks for watching.